Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie with Data Driven Detroit. Today, I'm going to talk about our housing information portal and walk you through how to use and interpret the margin of error. We're going to start on Detroit's profile page. For more detailed information about using the HIP tools, check out our previous posts on our products page, datadrivendetroit.org/products. The profile page is full of data related to housing and demographics for the specific area. Right now, Detroit based geographies have the most available data in their profile. Today, we're going to talk about renter occupied or owner occupied housing. When you are exploring data in the housing information portal, you might notice that in some areas there is a plus or minus sign next to a estimate that you are looking at. That is the margin of error. You can also see more margins of error if you hit show data to get a more detailed breakdown of the data. So what is the margin of error and what's its impact on how you use the value? This video will walk you through all you need to know about the margin of error. The margin of error exists because of how certain data is collected. In the Housing Information Portal, most of the data with a margin of error comes from the American Community Survey, which aims to describe the characteristics of a large population. For instance, Table B25002, the table related to occupancy, can tell how many properties are occupied by an owner or a renter in the city of Detroit. The most accurate way to get this data would be to ask every single person whether they own or rent their home, and then calculate the various documented categories. However, the amount of resources required for completing this data collection process would be tremendous. Instead, the Census Bureau sends out a survey to a small percentage of households, asking people about many different things, including their housing situation, and then estimates variables such as owner occupancy of the whole city based on the sampled population using various statistical methods. You can expect that the estimated renter and owner values will differ from that of the whole city population. The margin of error is used to describe this difference. More precisely, the margin of error indicates the likelihood that the sample estimate and the actual population value differ by no more than the value of the margin of error within a specific confidence interval. That's why you see a plus and minus sign. You may ask, since the margin of error exists, or that there is a difference between the estimate and the actual value, is it still safe to use the estimates, such as for grant writing? And a short answer, yes. In fact, properly using the margin of error can help you get a more accurate understanding about the data point that you are interested in. The American Community Survey uses a 90% confidence level as its standard, which means that if the same survey is conducted repeatedly following the same method for 100 different sample groups, 90% of the sample groups should generate a value that falls within the confidence interval of the actual population value. By adding and subtracting the margin of error from the estimate, we can calculate the 90% confidence interval for that estimate, which means we can expect the true value to be within a certain upper and lower value 90% of the time. For instance, from the example table we looked at on the Housing Information Portal, you're interested in understanding the number of housing units in the city of Detroit that are occupied by the owner. The estimate for that is 123,411 housing units, and the margin of error, or the potential difference between the estimated value and the actual value, is plus or minus 1,673. You can get the value range by adding or subtracting 1,673 from the 123,411. The lower bound of that estimate is 123,411 minus 1,673, which equals 121,738 housing units, while the upper bound of the estimate is 123,411 plus 1,673, which is 125,084 housing units. This range, defined by an upper and lower bound, is also called the confidence interval. Now you can say with 90% confidence that the count of housing units occupied by their owner ranges from 121,738 to 125,084 based on the 2018 American Community Survey. This method of calculating a confidence interval also works for percentages. So, why use the margin of error? Generally, the smaller the population, the larger the margin of error. Thus, when you are looking for neighborhood data at a more granular level, where there are fewer people residing, keep in mind that the difference between the estimate and the actual population value will be larger. This may help you explain why an estimate of 0 with a large margin of error might appear at a smaller geography, such as a block group level. Additionally, the margin of error can make it tricky to compare different places or time frames. For instance, it's impossible to know if an unemployment rate of 25% in city A is really higher than an unemployment rate of 20% in city B when they both have the same margin of error of 5%. In this case, you would need additional calculations, which can be referred to as statistical testing, to find out if the differences between the two data points is significant. You can also find various statistical testing tools to help you online. To conclude, knowing the margin of error is important as it helps to understand how reliable an estimated value is. You can cite the value more accurately simply by adding or subtracting the margin of error from the estimated value. If the margin of error is very large compared to the estimate, you can use the data in a larger geographic area to avoid using misleading data. Therefore, getting more familiarized with the margin of error will help you to make your analysis more accurate and convincing. And if you need help with your analysis, please feel free to make an Ask D3 request at our website, datadrivendetroit.org.